Good, man. I'm good. Good morning, guys. How's it going, everybody? We'll get started here in just a second here. But yeah, I'm good, Garrett. Good to see you here, man. I got your message yesterday. Good job. I saw what you did. I'm pretty stoked on that. We had a couple of guys with some really killer trades. So pretty proud of you guys for that. Pretty awesome. Even on a day like yesterday where we were pretty stale, you guys did pretty good, and I'm glad you guys listened, followed. You guys had great trade ideas yourselves. You guys did good. Pretty cool. Pretty good day yesterday. Gonna get to some of the news here. So here at open, U.S. futures, European shares drop on downbeat economic data, lingering trade frictions. We're only down about 0.19% as of right now in the S&P, down slightly more, 0.27 in the NASI, 82.43.75 right now, and 30.89.75 in the S&P. Pretty much stayed kind of flat, a little up and down last night after hours. No surprises there at these levels. Yield slip, gold's climbing on the risk off. It's there in the title, that's what I was talking about. Oil price surges on Trump's Syria remarks. If you guys don't know about that, he basically came out and said bluntly that we are in Syria just for the oil. Some of the key events today, we've got... what time does I'm trying to look what time Powell speaks again today, but so the big news is Walmart will update on its battle for market share with Amazon. Walmart beat earnings from fantastic online sales, so that's great for them. So Walmart is up pretty good today. I'll be watching that for a possible fade play or continuation. Not sure, but we'll see some price action on that. Weak data from Japan and China and the Eurozone and UK are setting a gloomy tone for stocks at open. Jerome Powell continues his congressional testimony, and both OPEC and the U.S. government update the oil market with latest numbers. So yeah, there's a lot of bad numbers coming out of China, the worst they've had in I'm not even sure, I think decades. There's also some pretty bad numbers coming out of Japan, so that's something on a world event, but that does affect our markets. Remember that. So that's definitely not good. There were some numbers, pretty bad numbers coming out of Europe. However, Germany has been killing it with their exports, so it's pretty much saved them from a recession, and they're literally pointing to that over and over. So I think it's something to pay attention to in the coming weeks, if not months. So I'm just looking through. There's a lot of stuff on the Japan numbers, but nothing that's really concrete that is something we need to be looking at right here. Nvidia reports after hours. I think that'll be important to watch later today after hours, because it's going to give us more insight into the tech and chip makers that I closely watch, obviously. So that'll be interesting to see after hours. Depending on how that looks, may look at building a butterfly, earnings butterfly on that later. Amazon scraps a $15 delivery fee for Prime members, upping the pressure on Walmart to respond with equally friendly to customers and damaging margins. But so far, Walmart has been doing very well with their pickup delivery option and their online orders. U.S. stock markets are poised to open slightly lower on the back of negative economic data from around the world overnight. In addition to the Chinese and Eurozone figures, Australia's labor market and Britain's retail sales both weakened sharply. So there's some of the global numbers I was talking about with that. So I'm just reading through this Jerome Powell stuff, but I can't see second day of testimony, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. In addition, Chicago Fed President Charles Evans and Vice Chairman Richard Clarida are due to speak at 8:10 a.m., so that has already happened. And New York Fed President John Williams speaks at 11 a.m. and St. Louis Fed President James Bullard at 11:20. So quite a bit of the Fed speaking today. So that could move things around a little bit. I don't think we're going to see any wild swings. However, like I was talking about last night on the drinks and charts we were going through together with the guys. There is still a decent. Well, what are we looking at now? $18 expected move left in the SPX. So I don't see that not happening. And at the levels we're at, I would be more inclined to say maybe a downward move, but wouldn't just jump the gun. But definitely something to keep your guys' eye on is that I could see a pullback coming, especially that we just keep topping out right here and kind of getting stuck at these numbers. We did hit 30.99.75 after hours last night. So that's a key level I'll be watching for. And lows kind of right in the, like the 30.87-ish area. So yeah, I have a feeling we're going to chop around just like we have been. So we'll keep an eye on tech and on financials as those are pulling a lot of the weight, as you guys know, kind of keeping us in there. Oil is going to be something I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye on as far as how it's going to be moving things this morning. Darth posted a super good watch list video again this morning, which will be coming out daily. There were some good trade ideas on there. It's a lot of similar to what I was talking about last night, you guys, where it's one of those things where you guys do not force trades to come to you. I know we had a good day yesterday and you get excited, but you don't want to give all those gains back, right? So do not force something to be there. And our bias right now is going to be like, you're going to be seeing stuff that you're like, that's not really there, that you want to be there, right? So do not force these trades, guys. Let the trade come to you and let our setup set up the way we want it. Then we take those trades, right? So you try to start forcing stuff and you're going to end up paying for it. Even if you nail one or two of these in the long run, it will come back to haunt you. So don't be chasing something that's not there. So yeah, I'll be watching Nvidia to see what it's doing as we go into this afternoon. I'm also watching. I'll be watching Boeing. They had some. They got a price target raise to 400 from 380. They also had some negative news about and I don't quite understand this. I'm not a pilot, but on their 777 series, there is some sort of fuselage vacuum thing or something that they were supposed to have reinstalled, but they're now saying that they're going to have manually installed. So I'm not sure if that sounds as bad as it does to me or if that's a good thing, but it sounds like it's kind of a negative thing. But with this price target going up, I expect to see Boeing start to move, and especially if they start coming out with news in the leading days about being back in service. Let's kind of a quiet pre-market here. So so far the fangs are kind of just chopping around sideways here pre-market. Boeing's going to be fighting that 365 line, but if we can get above that, especially close above upper Celt, we've got a nice run up. MU is just barely poked its head over lower Celt last night, but closed well below it, so that's going to be resistance until it's not. If it can get above that, then we can take off. But as you can see there on the 4 hour on MU there in the left corner, the 14 crossed, the 30 headed down, and that is a bearish signal for our strategy. Nvidia is looking pretty good, but it's got earnings, so it's going to have super high IV, and going into tomorrow, it's going to be crushed, so it's going to be kind of hard to play. Roku is definitely one we'll be watching today for a continuation. I'd like to see Roku retest that middle Celt and that 30 MA, and then I would get long to go to the upper Celt price target up there. Activision still hanging out underneath lower Celt, and Tesla had a couple of down days here, but that could be good, especially if it can retest the upper Celt, and then I would get long for a continuation up. The Chinese names have come down quite a bit. No surprises there with all the data. I will like to see BABA maybe regain middle Celt and then look for the continuation up to the upper Celt. AMD found support on the upper Celt. I'd like to see a full retest and not break that, and then I could get long again on AMD. Disney is extremely overextended, but we either could be looking at a fade play today, maybe a little sideways chop for some consolidation, or it could continue up. I mean, that was pretty significant news yesterday. Even though the problem is with the numbers they released, it doesn't really say like what they were and how many of those people were through the Verizon deal, or how many of those people were on the free week trial that they also have. McDonald's came back alive yesterday. Sorry, I would like to see it pull back though to this massive support where the 13, 14, and middle Celt are all together underneath. So if it could retest that, I would definitely get long and head back up price target to that upper Celt. So that is where we stand so far this morning. Yeah, you guys, like I said, don't try to force anything you see. I would definitely watch the choppiness here out of the gate. Let's just try to have a good solid day again, you guys. But if we don't set up anything, it's okay. It's let it come to you. That's the big thing. Let it come to you. Oh, it's Orion. Day traders left. Used them all yesterday. Big win. Maybe the next one, thinking Activision, Amazon, retail ideas with Christmas coming. Yeah, I agree with the retail thing and Activision. I was talking about, I think, yesterday. I talk about that a lot when we get around the holiday season. So, yeah, those are great trade ideas, Ryan. Yeah, definitely we could try to look for something here in the first hour or two that's looking good for a setup for like a vertical or something like that with a little bit of time on it. But that's the best thing you can do is, when you guys are, with these smaller accounts is if you use up your day trades, that's fine. Just really, really look up for a super solid A-plus swing setup, and even if you got to give yourself some time on it, why not use some of your profits to make a nice, length trade and then be able to sit back and relax. And at the same time, while you're doing that, paper trade a little bit, or look at watch the names you're still watching. Don't just take a day off. You know what I mean? So that way you're not getting rusty, so to speak, type of deal. But no, yeah, great idea there, Ryan. I like that. We're getting ready here to open in about 20 seconds, guys. Like I said, sit on your hands if you have to. Watch out for the choppiness out of the gate, and let's have a good day. I have several long-term positions open, of course. I always do, but nothing that's short-term or day trade. I'm actually going to be looking for some day trades. I've got a couple of positions in the SPX open right now. And here we go. Gonna be some of that choppiness I was talking about, guys. Just be careful. I have seen no signals to get long, and I definitely don't see any signals to get short at the moment right now. So that's something to be watching out for here. Netflix coming back alive after a big down day yesterday on the Disney news. Apple trying to push up here good too as well, first thing. Amazon making a little tiny grind up, as well as Microsoft trying to make a nice big candle there. So right out of the gates, the fangs are doing pretty strong so far. Boeing is now found resistance at the 4-hour on the upper Celt. And Roku, I would like to see this come down and test this 30 and middle Celt before I would get long into upper Celt. Otherwise, the risk reward is just not there, and you're just paying too much for the premium is essentially what will happen there. Nvidia is going to be tricky to trade today with earnings coming out. I mean, you'd have to play it just as a day trade. I wouldn't suggest holding on to anything unless, like I said, we do like sort of a earnings butterfly maybe later, but I would not set that up until way later tonight. So Baba coming down pretty hard under the middle Celt. It's got the 30 next, and then lower Celt. If I can find support there, I could get long back up to middle Celt. Disney down slightly, and McDonald's up just ever so slightly here. So yeah, definitely some choppiness going on, guys. Add decline line coming up pretty good so far, all the way up to -50 so far, and it looks like the markets are ticking up. VIX is slightly elevated though at a 1326, and we are trying to add decline line is trying to close in on that zero line. Decline line coming up really nice and strong there at a positive 176, looking really, really nice there so far. Ticks are all pointed up as well. Market's still down about $5, the S&P, so we're still down about 0.17%. So see if we can't turn that around today. Decline line continued to pump up here. We're at a positive 281 now. Ticks kind of half and half. Yeah, the Russell actually on the MACD actually had a bearish cross yesterday, so I'm not surprised to see it as negative on the tick for the Russell as it is. Yeah, Roku is definitely ripping there, and here, let's take a look at it while we're watching this. Yeah, see Roku back up already, almost up already up $1 here. The problem is there was not really a good entry because your risk to reward is jumping in. You're chasing at that point. That's a chase trade. It might work out in the long run, but again, 9 out of 10 times, it's not going to be healthy to do that. You want to see these pull back down into support, then you want to get long. That's where you're going to get the best entry and the best price. Otherwise, you're already having to pay pretty extended premium to be chasing this price, but it will be definitely good to watch. But yeah, that's kind of the example like I'm talking about, you guys. Is when you start chasing those, it's you're not going to get the best entry on there. You're going to be paying a lot for premium, and it's going to not give you as much gain. MU trying to get up over lower Celt here. Definitely be one to be watching. Same with Activision, also pushing up on lower Celt as well. Yeah, Netflix trying to push up here pretty good, like really trying to break back out after such a down day yesterday. And Apple just ripping pretty good now in the positive as well. Amazon also up already almost 9.50 here. Microsoft as well up about 55 cents. So pretty good day. The things are doing pretty good. Facebook just continuing its chop as it has been for the last about week. But yeah, Netflix definitely ripping up. There would have been a good entry yesterday, but today it just pretty much went parabolic and it's just taken off. The same with Apple and Amazon and Roku. So that makes it really hard to trade those guys when they just rip like that. There's really no entry that has a good risk to reward. That's the thing to be looking about. Roku is pushing up pretty hard here. Now it's going to find resistance at upper Celt though. But if it can retrace back down, I would get long after that. MU finally getting above lower Celt, so that is very good for that. It was definitely needed that today. Boeing still struggling at the upper Celt and that 365 line. That's just going to be significant resistance for a while until it's not. AMD is up ever so slightly. Bidu finding resistance once again at the 14 and upper Celt, and Baba trying to push up here over middle Celt as well. Disney is looking pretty strong at once again, already up 79 cents from yesterday's close at 149.44. It did hit 150 after hours last night, so that will be interesting to watch as the day goes on. Fang stocks looking pretty good this morning. And add decline line hitting a high of 406 and kind of trading sideways at the moment. Will definitely be interesting to see where that goes. Closing out my Cisco earnings for a what is this gonna be? 70%? Yeah. Small position though. Yeah, the Netflix one, I know. It was so hard to exactly. That's the problem with some of these. It's so hard to catch those guys when they just rip like that. You don't even have a chance to catch the move. That's what I'm talking about on Roku as well and Netflix. They just right out of the gate it rips. And where's your entry? Otherwise, you're just chasing. And if that thing turns around on you, you're paying for it. You guys were talking about this last night on the after hour stream. Kraft Heinz, ticker KHC, is now cut to sell from Goldman Sachs. So no surprises there. Just like we were saying, just Not looking too good. We the chart's starting to look good though. So as always, the contrarian, I definitely take that with a grain of salt when they these analysts change their mind. They're supposed to be making calls for the year, and they literally change their mind every other week. So. Your BAC calls were showing 5,000 profit. Yeah, that happens a lot. Like, okay, so for instance, same thing on my SPX put position. It was showing a gain of like, I think it was like I paid like 55 for them for the butterflies, and it was showing them at like 400 something. But I know it's not true because like on SPX, the bid was like 30.24 and the ask was like 31.33. So sometimes the pre-market or after hours, the bid and ask skews get completely shifted off for whatever reason. Yeah, so that'll happen. And I know like on Robinhood, I've been told it'll be like come way off, and people will see like the spikes on their daily gain, and they get all frustrated and a little bit upset about it because they're like, oh well, at one point I was up 1,000%. Well, not really. It's an issue with the data receiving and throwing the skew off. That sucks though to see that, and you're just like, wait, what? Are those BAC calls profitable? Is that what I mean? What's the Oh, drop to normal. I had to reread it. Okay, I see. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's frustrating when you see that because you're like you get all excited, or you see your like account and it's showing like giant green, and then all of a sudden it just drops, and you're like, wait, what? What did I do wrong? Did I just lose a massive amount of profit? Everything pretty choppy, guys, just like we were saying. Nice, 75%, right on. That's good. Good job. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was told about the whole Robinhood thing. Like it's super frustrating the way it reads it. And then I've also been told there's people that would they were trying to like beat it, but what happened is the option would every day, like every afternoon right before close, it would like spike from like 5 cents to like $4, and they would like try to catch it. Well, but there's no buyer there. There's nobody. Even if it was true, there's nobody trying to buy it. Yeah, the problem though on Roku once again is it's already kind of taken off. The trade has already happened. At this point, you'd be chasing it, so your risk to reward is extremely limited. That's what I keep saying, is that unless it pulled back and gave you a better entry, you're going to be paying a lot for the premium just to get in to chase it for what, another dollar or two. I mean, even if it continues to go up, you're going to be paying a lot for that premium, and that risk reward, the probability is not there, because if that thing turns around and spits you out, that's going to be a massive loss for something that was probably a little gain. You got to remember, it's all about risk to reward. So when you're chasing into that, there's nothing there to get me that excited. I mean, yes, I wish I was in it from yesterday, but see, I mean, it gave it back a little bit, but here, let's blow it up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you basically had no entry this morning. This thing it's kind of in no man's land here, right? The only reward entry would have been yesterday off of the 30 and held on to it, but there's no way to know it was going to do this, right? So here now, as we're starting to retrace a little bit, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, right? I still don't want to buy this and go long, because which direction is this going? Can you tell me which direction this is going in the next hour or in the next day? I have no idea, and I've been doing this for a long time. However, if I see this thing retraced back down here to where there's actual support, then it gets interesting to me, because then I'm going to be looking for this to capture this and then bounce back up. But as it sits right now, you're just chasing into this. You know, this is a FOMO play. This is literally case in point exactly what that is. But I will pull it up. Yeah, I mean, I don't, as it comes down, this gets more interesting for me. I would like to see this come down and test that support. Then I would get long. Yeah, I mean, unless you're, playing this as a quick little scalp or whatever, but then again, your risk to reward is not there. It is not it is not an A plus setup. That's what you gotta be looking for is A plus setups. Risk to reward, probability says, right? So that's the problem with that trade right now. Yeah, see, it's just kind of hanging out here. It's kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it is a wild child. I mean, since earnings, it just kind of just took off to the upside, which should have been obvious, but there's no way to know that. Again, of course, I'm not a soothsayer. I wish. Amazon's still looking pretty strong. Apple's still pretty alive. Netflix seeming to have maybe pewtered out a little bit. Google kind of chopping around, as well as Facebook extremely chopping, and Microsoft just kind of floating. Now this is exactly what we were thinking would happen here. Same on Boeing and Disney. Finding that 150 level is just going to be heavy psychological resistance, I think. And like I was saying yesterday, I feel like it's going to probably chop around for, if not a few days, and then maybe after we get the weekend numbers next week, and then cross up there. McDonald's is now starting to almost have that 14 cross the 30 on the 4 hour, looking very bullish, even though it's only 2 cents in the green today. I'll be watching this extremely close going into the next few days. Especially if this 14 does continue its cross over the 30 headed up, that is a very bullish signal on the 4 hour for McDonald's. Add decline line hanging, basically kind of flattening out here around the 482 level, as well as the market still down about $4. Yeah, the trading view thing, man. I know we were trying to figure that out. That sucks. Like, there's no way to fix that. What a weird glitch. Like, I don't understand why. I mean, that is the thing why I am such a huge pusher of Thinkorswim is their studies and their indicators. That is what they're known for. That is what it was built for. It was built by people who were leading retail traders for indicators and studies. That is why Thinkorswim is so powerful. It may not be the necessarily the fastest for this or that, but for what we trade, it doesn't really matter, right? The big thing is having correct indicators and correct levels, and that's why I love Thinkorswim. So I'm really frustrated for you too. That really sucks about TradingView. I'm so sorry. Ulta, I like. Let me take a look at it. I'm going to look at it on my my double charts here on my third monitor, and then I'll look over on screen for you guys. But let me look at it here real quick on my screen. Yeah, I see that, Ryan. Beyond already up 4%. I don't know. I mean, I've still got it on my watch list, so obviously I'm still somewhat interested, but I don't see where Ulta tested the middle Celt on the 4 hour except for yesterday. Yesterday would have been, there was definitely a bullish cross on the 14 over the 30 back on, it looks like, Friday after hours. So yesterday there would have been an entry on Ulta. Now it's finding support on the 14. But now it's, again, the same thing as I was just explaining on Roku. You're kind of stuck in this this just no man's land here, right in between the Celts, and you're trying to find support. So and there's nothing on daily. It's the same thing. It's just floating between middle and upper Celt. So until it can find support or resistance, I wouldn't know which direction to go. You're going to be chasing it, and the risk to reward just isn't there. That's on Ulta, guys. Yeah, the Beyond thing, Ryan. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't, especially for what you're looking for. Definitely not. I mean, it's up 5% today, so the entry would have been yesterday, but there's no way to know that it was gonna do this, right? Like, and I do not trust Beyond. If I can see it, coming into a tradable zone, then absolutely. But it is up pretty good today. I mean, it's up at what 82.92 right now. It hit a high of 83.38. It actually looks okay on the 1 day. Had tested lower Celt and moved up. It also on the 4 hour had tested lower middle Celt this morning. So there was an entry this morning on Beyond. So that is definitely something that I missed. But it may find resistance here at the 30 and upper Celt on the 4 hour. And then I would look for a fade play back on Beyond, but that is definitely something I wouldn't suggest anybody getting in. The risk to reward on there is just too high, and it still has extremely high IV. So market just absolutely chopping around still, exactly like we were anticipating. We are down to a $16 expected move in the SPX, closing for tomorrow's options. So I'm not going to be surprised if we just continue to chop around and maybe get a retrace tomorrow. I actually, to be honest, am hoping that's what happens. I hope we kind of just flatline and chop all day today. And then I hope we get the drop tomorrow for Friday expiration, so we can get those sweet cheap deals. That's what I'll be looking for personally, but we'll see here. I have a feeling we're going to be chopping around today, though, guys, which is good because I'll be here this morning, but I have 2 meetings, which is good because it's stuff for Aries. Some really, really big things coming. I can't say anything yet, but there's a possible partnership coming up for Aries Trading, and we're going to be starting to market here in December. And all of you guys that are here have nothing to worry about. We've already made it very clear between the 3 of us that we all agree. You guys are all in from the beginning, grandfathered in, so to speak. And really what we're trying to do is get you guys up to speed, hopefully in the next couple months. And we definitely want to essentially have you guys, take part of the course that we'll be offering and essentially as like a test group, but we want you guys to succeed with it because then you guys will be able to help be, mentors and custodians on the YouTube pages and on Twitter and stuff like that. So some of you that are interested have been talking to me about it already, but we will talk to you guys more about this as it moves forward. But like I said, I got a couple meetings this morning about some really big stuff coming for Aries Trading. So this is basically the very, very beginning, guys, and this is about as little as it's ever going to be. So it's been pretty fun like this, and I enjoy it. And we'll definitely keep our OG group and have a kind of separate hidden rooms and chats and streams like that. But we have plans to go much bigger. But we want to, we want all of you guys included in on this. And I know it's hard with a lot of the jobs that everybody works, but it's this could be something that changes all of our lives, guys. So I'm just excited you guys are all here. Man, chop. Yeah, Kraft Heinz down all the way at 3.5% this morning. Beyond leading the pack. Walmart up 2%. which is pretty good on a consumer stock like that. That doesn't move too much. Good, you guys should be excited. TLT up about 1%, as well as BABA, AMD, Lowe's, VIX, and Costco all up about 0.7%. Oil finally in the green today. It's good to see. Everything else is just pretty low gains here, but up just slightly. Gold also up slightly, guys. I know I brought that up a little bit pre-market, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Ryan, give me 1 second, and I will look at that Activision trade. That's a good one we could look at while this is chopping around. I'm glad you brought that up. Give me just a minute here. So obviously, Ryan, on this Activision trade, because of the whole, so here's the problem: you've got the holiday season coming up, but then they don't really report numbers till like after Christmas. But you don't want to be pulling that position right now that far out. I mean, you could, but then you're just kind of waiting when you have a better entry and cheaper entry to wait a little while. However, they definitely get bullish. People know that because they start picking up shares, right? I'd probably want this this December 20th to get some time on it, and it's really not expensive at all. Even the January, maybe you could even, and I know I haven't showed you guys this yet, and this is the next thing I want to get into, is showing you guys how to do calendar spreads. And calendar spreads I know are super daunting and overwhelming, but I actually prefer calendar spreads, and I'll explain why when we get into it. But essentially it's because you let the first expiration date contract expire worthless, the one that you sell, and then you close it out for the positive gain on the one you had a debit on that is later date. And I know that's confusing, but I'll explain later on calendar spreads. Calendar spreads that is a way to make your account grow real quick, but we'll be getting into that in the next couple weeks. Man, these Activision contracts are just so tempting and juicy. They're so cheap. That's amazing. So Ryan, I would probably do like an in-out spread on this, like the December 20th. I would almost be looking at like the buy the 52.50 and sell like the 60. So let's go ahead and set that up so you can kind of see. So in Thinkorswim, right click, buy, go down to vertical. And I'm obviously bullish, and so I would be going directional. And you obviously would you could hedge this as well with like a cheap put down in here, like the 47.50 or something for like 40 cents. Try to get that for like 40 cents today for a hedge. But then what I would do is pick up a couple of these, most likely, like 2 contracts, and then so buy the 52.50 and sell like the, let's see what it is at the 57.50. Yeah. So if you bought the 52.50 and sold the 57.50, you're looking at about $1.55. I would try to get that for $1.50 if possible. See if you could get that to hit, and just leave that there till it hits. I don't know if I'd want to bring that in farther. See what the 56.50 is. Oh, it's not trading that? What? Well, why? Okay. It was a non-optionable trade. Let's see what the 56 is. Oh, 57.50. That's why. Okay. So you're kind of limited on what you can buy here. As you can see, you've only got, it only has these certain strikes. So this kind of deep in the money in and out spread I really, really like is the 50 and 57.50. But let's see what it wants to pay for that. That's pretty expensive. So let's see if we can get a better deal on that. Let's try that 52.50 at the money, or just slightly in the money. Yeah, so I would look at this 52.50 and sell the 57.50. Right now at market it's $1.54, but I would maybe try to get that for $1.50. I would have no problem paying $1.50 for that, and I would try to get a couple contracts. So you're going to be paying $3 for that, and then you just slightly hedge just to keep yourself safe, or. Let me see here. You see, and he's got your expected move here, $4. But like I was telling you guys yesterday, I usually double that. But that takes us to about $60, right? But that's gonna be pretty expensive spread there. That's not bad. That 52.50 and sell the 60 is only 179. Man, that's almost the one I would go with. Then you're like definitely you've got a much larger profit area in there, and that's the December 20th 52.50 buy and sell the 60 for $1.79, and I would try to get that for like $1.75 ish, somewhere in there. There's one, and then like the after Christmas one, but I would almost wait a little bit to let this come down a little bit. Would be to buy the 50 and sell probably the same, sell the 60. But you can see this is going to be a huge difference right now because you're paying a lot for this price for time. So I would wait for this right now, the January 17th monthly. But yeah, this December 20th monthly is probably the best as far as liquidity. And for price, I would try to sell, buy this 52.50 and sell the 60, and try to get it for like $1.75 ish, somewhere in there. That would be, I think that would be a very good long-term, solid holiday trade right there. I would do a debit call spread on this one. Yeah, a vertical call spread. I mean, and technically, you could even set up a butterfly on this, but with the cheap contract price as it is, I feel like doing the debit spread on this is probably your best bet. And I actually am really liking the way that's setting up. I may do the same thing, to be honest, especially for that price. I mean, that's a heck of a price. VIX is now under 13. Ad decline line continuing to rise. We're at a positive 589. Market is just trying to get green here at 30.95. Just barely in the red. So still chopping around, but trying to slowly grind back up into positive territory. You know, and Ryan, actually thinking about it now too on the Activision trade, if you wanted to hedge to the lower side too, you could, just to get it a little bit cheaper, you could do also an in-out spread on the downside too on the puts, just to you know, maybe get $20 off or so. You accidentally got the 145 on Oh, hold on. Let me look at that real quick so you don't get pushed out of it. December 13th. So you got some time on it. Give me just a minute. Let me pull this up on my other chart, and then I will pull it up on screen so you guys can see. Just give me a second here. You say you accidentally got the 145. What were you trying to go for? So you got the December 13th put debit spread 145, 143 sell. So 145. And you are selling the 143. Is that about what you paid for it? About 85 cents? I think the in-out spread is better, man. I always will, if you can get a good price on the in-out spreads, I think in-out spreads are always going to be the better price. It also helps with your theta slightly. So, I mean, I usually go pretty deep in the money when I buy an in-out, but no, I mean, if you're paying about 83 cents for that, the 145, 143, December 13th, that's a pretty good trade. In my other account, I have quite a few positions in CAT, and mostly on the downside. 86? No, man, that's a good I would hold on to it. There's nothing wrong with that trade at all. There's not yet, at least. There's nothing telling me that I think CAT isn't going to continue to come back down here. I've been bearish on CAT for a while now. Yeah, Ryan. We can go way more into using the Analyze tab. I know I kind of briefly have touched on it a couple times. I do want you guys using that, especially on your own. It is the best way to visually see it, and it is actually how I will sit there, and because I don't necessarily know exactly what strike I want until I go into the Analyze tab, and I'll sit there and move stuff around. Now the thing is I can look at these really quick because I kind of just know my levels on these, and these are names that I trade all the time. So that's how I'm able to do that so quickly like that. But yeah, I will go into that more, because that's something when you guys are doing it on your own, you're going to want to do, especially at the beginning, because it will literally give you that visual graph and where you can move around. I think it is an underrated tool in Thinkorswim using the Analyze tab. So absolutely great idea. In fact, I'm going to put that in my notes. So thank you for bringing that up, Ryan. What would have I got? Well, like I said, I have a lot of positions in CAT already in my other account. But I'm trying to think. Well, first of all, I would have gone with the monthly. If you're going out 29 days, I always like to go out about 32-ish minimum. So, and plus the monthlies are going to have way more liquidity. So I probably would have, so look at the difference here, right? So December 13th, look at the open interest. Now look at the open interest just a week later for the monthlies. It's a massive, massive difference. You guys, I like the monthlies. As much as I can, I play the monthlies for this exact reason. There is far more open interest, therefore liquidity. So if you need to get in or out, it's much easier, right? So I would have probably gone with the December 20th monthly, and I probably would have done something like a deep in the money spread, like the 150 one. I don't know. This is actually hard to say. Just quickly glancing at it, I probably would have done an in-out spread at like the 145, 135, or 145, 130 maybe. I don't know. It's pretty expensive here and then cheap. So I think I have quite a few naked puts in here, kind of spread out. Or even kind of what you were saying is kind of the most enticing, would be like a slightly out of the money put spread here. Would have been like buy the 140 and sell the 135 for the December 20th contracts. I think you're more than fine still, obviously, on a name like Cat. Oh my fucking god. It is so weird to see our president of the United States he's tweeting about Walmart's earnings. I just find this so strange.